Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So this is our 2026 HR checklist. So this is your opportunity to have a think about the things that are going to protect your business, support your team, and stay ahead of the changes that are coming in 2026. This is a recorded session. Unfortunately, we had a technical glitch with the main webinar, so there won't be the same level of questioning today. But if you watch and you have any questions, then please feel free to email into info@gfhr.co.uk and we will ensure that your questions are answered. I'll repeat that at the end of the session. So, I wanted to just start by saying that managing HR for small to medium businesses doesn't have to be complicated. As you're probably aware, there are a number of employment laws changes on the horizon, and it's important that we are getting ready for them. But what we want to do today is to help you stop wasting time and energy on processes that don't actually add value to your business. So the businesses that really thrive, in my opinion, are those businesses that keep their HR approach simple and practical. We don't want to burden you with loads of processes and loads of red tape. We want to help you to focus on what matters, which is supporting your team and driving your business growth, because that's what we're all here for. So in this session, we're going to look at what's changing in 2026, where you're going to focus your efforts, and how to stay protected without overcomplicated things. So as we go through, just have a think about which of those areas are actually going to work well for you already and which might need some attention. So at the end of the session, you're going to have a clear checklist for handling HR this year. We're going to cover the steps you need to take from preparing for legal changes to smarter use of technology. We're going to walk through recruitment, onboarding, retention, well-being and growth planning, showing you the practical steps that you can take now. The goal isn't to load you, as I say, with theory or long to-do lists. It's to help you want to stay focused on the things that are going to make a difference and are going to really impact your business day to day. So let's start off by thinking to yourself, if you had to name one HR challenge that slows you down today, what would it be? Keep that in mind because we'll see how it goes through and we look at it where it connects in the checklist that we've got in front of us now. So, the Employment Rights Act, we've all heard lots about it. It received royal assent on the 18th of December 2025, and whilst some of the exact details aren't finalised, the direction is clear. It's stronger employee rights and more responsibility on employers. It introduces 28 key employment law changes, with the first being implemented in April of this year, although some changes won't come in until October 2027. These reforms will affect every business, large or small. The important thing isn't to know every detail in advance, it's to make sure that your business is adaptable. And that means reviewing your contracts, thinking about your policies, current, and ensuring that your processes are applied consistently. Inconsistent decisions are what trips SMEs up most, applying policies and processes in different ways. And we see it so many times and it always creates problems. So trying to be consistent is what's going to protect you. If your foundations are solid, then adapting to the new rules becomes much easier. This is not an exhaustive list of all the legislation changes, but it highlights some of the key changes that were going to affect many of our clients from April. So first up, we've got SSP from day one to all workers, no lower earnings limit. That's going to mean that business is going to need to build this into their budgets. It's also a chance to look at sickness records. Are there any issues that need tackling? So any particular patterns that often occur around Mondays and Fridays, and thinking about how do you manage business in your manage sickness in your business. Obviously for new joiners, and we've seen this in a couple of cases recently, if you've got people in probation period, they're still going to accrue sick pay from day one. And I know a few people that I've spoken to are kind of struggling with that they might not have actually even worked today, and that is going to be a challenge in how we manage that. So, but having your policies and processes really clear is going to be key to that. Day one rights for statutory paternity leave and unpaid parental leave. Again, these are going to be, they're going to no longer have qualifying length of service periods. So these need to be reflected in your policies, and making sure that your managers are aware on what the changes are, so that if anyone approaches them, they know what to say and how to address those changes. Sexual harassment protection is going to be strengthened, and there'll be a potential increase in legal and reputational risk around those allegations. So what we need to be looking at now is updating whistleblowing policy to specifically include sexual harassment, and again coming back to training, and making sure that you've got an up-to-date sexual harassment risk assessment. Finally, just to say, from April this year, obviously, national minimum wage will also increase to £12.71 with effect from the 1st of April. So that's just another one to be aware of as well. Then we've got changes coming in from October 2026. And that is going to be going back to the sexual harassment training. So employers will have a duty to take all reasonable steps to prevent employees from sexual harassment, including where the perpetrator is a third party. So that's going to be challenging to do, but what we need to do is encourage all employers to look at your policies, make sure they're up to date. Have you got up-to-date risk assessments? Are you thinking about where those third-party interactions happen and what steps you will take? Being clear on reporting lines if there's any complaints, and making sure that all staff are trained in how to deal with sexual harassment and what is acceptable and what is not. Also then going through to managers, making sure your managers are well equipped for changes as well. We've also got changes, restrictions coming in on fire and rehire. So what this is going to be is going to be making it more difficult to make changes to contracts without agreement, such as changes to hours or pay or location. The only defence would be financial difficulties for the employer, and that would likely need to be extreme. So I'm talking kind of pandemic kind of levels of extreme, or situations which really are completely unavoidable for it to be financial difficulties. So being really conscious of how you are engaging with your employees when there are changes coming in that are going to affect them. Under the Employment Rights Act, the time limit for making most employment tribunal claims, which is currently 3 months, is going to be extended to 6 months. That's going to make it even more important to accurately make notes and record dismissal reasons. And I cannot stress this enough. We always talk about how important it is to take notes when situations occur. But that's going to become more important because with the wait times within the tribunals process at the moment, it could be up to 2 years before you're having to go back and look at what has happened. And so really clear documentation is going to be really important for protecting you if there are potential claims. So making sure you've taken witness statements that are well documented and that they are filed correctly and securely. We've also got tighter tipping rules coming into play in October 2026, including mandatory consultation with employees about tipping policies, which will then need to be updated every 3 years. So we then got the biggest changes, and probably ones that most people are talking about in terms of the impact from 2027. So the key one that I think most people are probably aware of is the change to unfair dismissal rights from 6 months. So currently this is at a right after 2 years, but that is going to be dropping to 6 months. What that means for you as employers is that you need to be making solid hiring decisions and will need a robust probationary process in place. Whilst we think there will likely be a light touch process, you will need to legally go through in order to dismiss an employee. It's going to be really key that we understand the reasons for the dismissal and that we are following any clear process. So again, documentation is going to be key. We've also got the strengthening of the flexible working rights. So the bill doesn't go as far as making flexible working the default, but it will increase the burden on employers to justify the refusals to request. What that means is that you will need to document evidence to prove why your decision to reject a request was reasonable. Again, it all comes back to training, again, making sure your manager's aware on what those reasons are and making sure that you're tracking the requests that come through to you consistently so that we can make sure that we're looking at each request in its own right, in its own merits, in a fair and equitable way. The other change that a lot of people are talking about and are expecting is the change around the restriction on 0 hours contracts. Again, what this looks like is very much up in the air at the moment, but potential changes could require employers to offer guaranteed hours where regular hours are seemingly worked, and to provide notice before cancelling or changing shifts, or potentially paying compensation for any changes. So what we need to be doing now is making sure that you are auditing your workforce, you understand how regular hours are, and I understand in some businesses that can be really difficult, particularly when we're talking about seasonal workers. But having that clear idea of what an average looks like. We're working on the basis that potentially the reference period that we'll need to look at is 12 weeks, but it could be more than 12 weeks. And that's detail that is yet to come out to us. So we will keep you updated as soon as we know any more. It's a bit like when we had the pandemic, the rules around furlough, we were finding out as they were being developed, and we will of course tell you what you need to be doing as employers as well as quickly as we can after the legislation is released and the guidance is released. So we will keep you posted, but a lot of these things are still in consultation at the moment. So something to think about for now is, when was the last time you reviewed your contracts and handbook? If it's been more than a year since you last looked at those things, then I really recommend that you start by looking at those documents and making sure, as I say, you've got your foundations in place, and that's something that we can help with if you need the help. Okay. Next, we're going to have a look at technology and how this can help to save you time. Some of you will already be using our HR system or an HR system. You might know how these tools can already save you time and hours of admin. But are you really maximising your return on investment of that system? Systems like Breathe can handle repetitive tasks like holiday tracking, securely storing employee records, planning shifts and rotas, and even basic payroll. These things are going to be really important when we're talking about the legislation that we've just mentioned. But they can also be used for to handle some more complex processes like coordinating performance reviews, goal setting, employee onboarding, collecting e-signatures, and training and development. So these are all things that can be done through an HR system and can really help to reduce the burden on you as employers. Some of our clients are also using technology to streamline their recruitment, and we partner with a system called Hireful that can save you hours of time sifting through CVs and also ensure that you're managing your processes consistently and are GDPR compliant. All your applications come through to one place, to one portal, whether they're from an agency or whether they're direct from an advert that you've run, and that really helps to see everyone that has applied in one place as opposed to kind of pulling CVs from different sources. Finally, obviously, as we all know, with the constant development of AI, we're confident that technology will enable business owners to automate routine HR tasks, enabling them to focus on developing and growing their people. And we will be looking with you at ways that we can help you with that. So something to think about in your own businesses is, could you be saving more time on some of these HR tasks? Perhaps now is a good time to consider how you're using technology in your business. If you're a business that still relies on Excel spreadsheets to track holiday, or even a wall chart in an office, now is the time to perhaps think about how you can apply technology to your business to ensure that you're treating people in a fair and consistent manner. So we'll move on and look at recruitment. So recruitment is where some businesses, small business, waste time and money, and it can be really hard. We get it. If you're recruiting, it's probably because you've identified a need within your business and you need to find someone to help you with that. You're already stretched. That's why you need to recruit. And recruitment is a really time-consuming process. However, top talent isn't just looking for another pay slip. They want growth, impact, ownership of their work. They want to be motivated. And small businesses can't always compete here. You offer opportunities that big corporates can't. Your job advert should sell that opportunity. Be clear and honest about what makes your business unique. Keep your hiring processes simple, 2 or 3 steps maximum, and don't drag it out. Try and be as quick, as consistent as you can, because otherwise you might lose your potentially good candidates to competitors if we're taking times around the decision. The changes to unfair dismissal coming up mean that it will be more important than ever to hire the right people. And you need to think about what your current recruitment process is and whether that's going to be robust enough to understand if that person is going to be the right fit. And it all comes down to questioning as well and thinking about what skills does that person need to bring to my business to succeed? Are you really thinking about how they will perform in the job in your business? So those are ways that you can really think about, and we can help support that. So thinking about your current job adverts, would they make you want to apply for a job working in your business? I think it's a really interesting question to ask yourself. If not, then perhaps it's time for a rewrite. And also thinking about your selection processes. Are they really assessing the skills that you need for the role and for the individual that is coming into your business? So actually thinking about, are we getting what we need from our recruitment process? Once you've got someone on board, the first 90 days can make or break a new hire's commitment. If you get this wrong and you're wasting your recruitment sprint, and you're then starting the whole process again. So making sure someone immediately feels valued in your business is really key to their success. Onboarding isn't about complicated welcome packs or endless paperwork or continual lunches. It's about creating clarity, building connection, and helping new people to see how they contribute from their business to your business from day one. So looking at a clear 90-day plan, what are the expectations that we have for that time frame? It doesn't mean sitting there and going through day to day what you are wanting them to achieve. It means understanding from their perspective what success looks like, and what milestones do you expect them to be reaching in week 1, month 3, and going forward. That helps them to focus and helps you to measure their progress. Having regular check-ins obviously becomes crucial in that. And we would recommend that within the first month, you're checking in with them weekly, and then the second month, monthly after that. And you use those catch-ups to address problems early and celebrate progress. People like to have feedback, and making sure that you are highlighting your expectations, that they're realistic, that they are clearly documented, and back those documents, those conversations up with an email so it's really clear what is expected. Onboarding at this point is about engagement. So introducing them to the team, taking time to make sure they're settled, they know where everything is, even simple things like knowing where the toilet is or telling them what services are around available for them to have lunch or to make lunch, or if they want to go out and get lunch, things like that can make a real difference to how people feel from their first day and make them feel valued. So within your own businesses, do you currently have a written 30, 60 or 90 probation day plan? If not, then just start with 1 page. Start, and it'll then help you to build on that. It'll save you time and frustration later, and will be a key tool when changes come into effect, because you'll know exactly what your plan is going to be. So once we've got people, we've brought them on board, how do we keep them? Retaining talent is so key to small businesses. Once you've got someone, you've spent that investment and that time bringing them in, engaging with them, motivating, finding out about them, you want to hold on to them. So when we talk about the real cost of turnover, we don't just mean about recruitment expenses. It's not about bringing that person, having to find a new person. It's through lost productivity, lost knowledge, and the impact on team morale when good people walk out the door. It's not about retention isn't about big perks or gimmicks. It's about having that consistent engagement. Again, giving regular and honest feedback, communicating early about career progression and making sure that there is a clear path for someone to follow, should they want to follow that. Show your team that you are genuinely interested in their development. And remember that people are motivated by different things. Some people will want fast progression. They'll be chasing the next salary increase, and that's absolutely fine. Other people might just want stability. They want to come into work, do a good job, and then go home again. Some people want flexibility, and others will want meaningful work. Your job is to understand these individual motivations and respond to them where you can. This is where, in my mind, small businesses have the edge. You can have those conversations directly without the layers of HR and management, and that's something to take advantage of. Obviously, if you feel nervous about having those conversations, we are here to support you, but there is an opportunity that there are less layers of people to have to go through. So try and have those conversations regularly, and it builds that connection, which then helps to retain people in your business. So here's a question for you. When was the last time you asked your best people why they stay in your business? Sometimes called a stay interview. If you don't know, then maybe it's worth asking the question, because you're at risk of losing them without warning if you don't know and you don't know what's motivating them. So take that time to really understand that, and that can potentially mean that you are retaining people that might otherwise have walked out. Employee wellbeing always impacts on business performance, and we know this. Burnt out teams make mistakes, take more sick days, and eventually they will leave your business. Spotting the signs early is really important. What those signs are, it's things like consistent long hours, irritability, missed deadlines. Those are business risks, not just personal issues. So if you see someone struggling, it's important to try and address that with them as soon as you do. Support doesn't have to be expensive. It can start as simply as having a conversation with someone if you think they might be struggling, and giving them that environment where they feel open to share. Setting realistic expectations and giving open communication is really key. If possible, you could offer them more flexibility, flexible support, maybe a period of reduced hours, things like that. And then signpost to external resources like employee assistance programs or mental health charities if you don't have any in-house provision. Again, we have a wealth of resources at our fingertips. So if you do find someone and they are struggling and you don't know where to signpost them, then do please get in touch, because we're always happy to help and always happy to point people in the right direction. Do you think that within your businesses, your managers know how to spot burnout? If not, then start with a one-page guide. Do you have access to resources as part of your benefits package? And do your staff know about these? Do you outwardly promote those resources? A number of clients we work with are starting to provide access to an EMP, an employee assistance program, or they have employee health cashback plans. And these are relatively low cost options for small businesses, but popular with employees. So it might be something to consider. Obviously, if you would like more information, then do please get in touch and we'd be happy to help. So we come on to preparing your team for growth. Your team's development should align with your strategy, and that's really key. Skills that matter today won't look the same in 2 years. What you need to do at this point is focus on core capabilities, adaptability, problem solving, and cross-functional skills that are all going to be key for your future. Taking time to invest in internal development. It's cheaper and more effective than constant external hiring. What that might look like is it might look like knowledge sharing within the team. It might look like access to an online training platform, all things that are going to help your team grow and develop. Stretch assignments is another way, and thinking about how you plan for succession within your business for the key roles that you have. Who are the people that actually you think if they left the business, a huge amount of knowledge would leave with them, and you need to make sure that you are retaining that knowledge and that talent within the business. Cross-check training, as I say, is a great way to be able to share that and to build talent of maybe more junior members of staff, less experienced members of staff, and then using more experienced to train those junior and to share their knowledge. And it helps then both the junior members of staff feel that they are more valued and getting some learning and development. And it also helps those more experienced share their knowledge across the team and give them the opportunity for sort of mentoring and coaching, which can be a great thing to be able to get involved in. When you think about your teams, when you think about your businesses, which roles in your business are single points of failure, and what can you do about that? So we'll move on to think about the metrics that we use in our businesses. They aren't just about bureaucracy. They're about knowing the health of your business. So things like tracking retention, hiring efficiency, team productivity, and skills development, all these things all tell the story of whether your team is engaged, growing, and delivering. But what we don't want you to do is drown in spreadsheets. So use these metrics to start conversations, not end them. So start thinking about if you've got a number in front of you, what is behind that number? What's developing there? What's the trend? Thinking about those things can give you real insight into your business and how your business is growing. So something to think about. Are you tracking the same 3 or 4 numbers every month? If not, then start with a simple scorecard. If you have Breathe already, you already have a lot of this information at your fingertips. But thinking about what are the metrics that are key to your business on a monthly basis, and then using those to track going forward. And the ones we've listed on the slide, so staff retention, hiring efficiency, team productivity, skill development, are ones to start with. Okay, so let's look at how we protect your business. So risk management is in HR is about prevention, not reaction. That's why we try to be really proactive in the service that we're offering. Consistent, fair processes are your best protection against potential disputes. Documentation, as I've said, isn't about creating a paper trail to use against people. It's about maintaining a clear record of fair and thoughtful decision making. Every significant HR decision should have a clear, defensible rationale, and keeping that documentation clear and concise and securely stored is going to be really important to you. The goal is creating an environment of transparency and fairness that naturally reduces potential conflicts. So HR isn't a separate department. It should be part of your business strategy. Simple systems applied consistently work best. Avoid one size fits all and tailor your approach to your business model, your culture, and your goals. The most successful SMEs make HR a rhythm. Policy reviews annually, monthly metrics checked, managers trained regularly. It becomes part of how they run, not an afterthought. Reflection. Our goal is simple. It's to help you create a strategy that works specifically for your business. Every small business has unique challenges. A technology company will manage HR differently from a retail shop or a professional services firm. This consultation is about understanding your specific team, your business model, and your growth goals. If you want to review your approach to HR in 2026, we're always happy to work with you to look at your current processes, identify quick wins, and develop a practical approach that fits your exact needs. There's no generic advice with GFHR, and there's no one-size-fits-all solutions, just targeted support for your business. So have a think about your own businesses. Is HR a system in your business, or is it reactive firefighting? We want to work with you to make sure that it is a system in your business, and we work with you in a proactive way. If you were to look at your business, what is the one HR action that you could take that would make the biggest difference? Reflect on that and do let me know if you've got any questions or queries. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to focus on your business and focus on your team and your business today. The most important step is taking action. Even small, consistent improvements on how to manage your HR can make significant difference to your business performance. And remember, the most important thing is to take action. One change, even just one change, a policy update, a clearer onboarding plan, a clearer probation process, a quick wellbeing check will all have an impact on how HR is viewed in your business. And of course, if you want more ideas or you want to have a chat further, then do please get in touch. We'd be delighted to help you. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. And as I say, if you do have any questions having gone through this, then do please drop me an email, info@gfhr, or have a look on our website and we'd be able to help you there. All right. Thank you, everyone.